In the past few years, we've become pretty good at living below our means and living simply and frugally so that we're able to have the time and money to do the things that we actually want to do. We've made the choice to spend our money on experiences as opposed to things, and I'd say we live a pretty happy, low-cost lifestyle when we're not traveling or making big purchases.
So today we're going to talk about the 10 key habits that we've developed to help us save our paychecks.
The very first tip we have might seem obvious, but it's to set a budget. This is the main thing that we've really found important, is to be conscious of our spending and to sit down and actually write a plan for it, i.e. a budget.
With every paycheck, we allocate money towards our groceries and phone bills and gas, all of the essentials, and that's the first thing that we do to make sure that we have that covered before we make any other purchases.
And then we put all the rest of the money to savings. So we don't even leave it in our checking account, we just make sure it all just goes to savings, and then we actually just don't touch it at all.
Tip number 2, and this might not apply to everyone, and we're not trying to upset you or offend you or tell you how to live your life, but we eat mostly plant-based, and we find that that definitely helps us save quite a bit of money. So we're vegetarians, we're not fully vegan, although we do try to eat mostly vegan. We rarely buy milk or eggs or anything like that, but we definitely don't buy any meat, which saves us a ton.
Okay, so the third tip is something that you've probably heard before, but it's always to cook at home and to always pack a lunch. So sadly, there's no really way of getting around the fact that it is just simply cheaper to cook and prepare food for yourself at home. We know that this can be difficult for some people, and for some people this can require a lifestyle change, but we mostly only eat food that we cook ourselves, and this includes going out for lunches. We don't go out for lunches either. So I've even found that when people are trying to save money, they'll start cooking their dinners at home, which is really, really great. But also buying a lunch every day can really rack up your bill. I used to work in an office. I worked in an office for 7 years, so I know what it's like to need to get out of the office. But one time I realized that if I was spending $10 to $15 a day, that would cost me about like $4,000 a year of just eating out at lunch. So cooking your own food for every single meal and packing a lunch is a really, really great way to save money.
Number 4 is to delete the apps and softwares that you don't really need and limit yourself from buying them as well. So that being said, I don't really use too many apps or anything like that, but I definitely play video games. So I mean, for me, if I was to be spending money on video games every paycheck, that would add up to a shitload.
In January, we did a no-buy challenge, and that was one of the first things I did, was go through my phone and look at all the subscriptions I had. I also went through my PayPal too, and I was actually really quite surprised to find out that I was spending quite a bit of money on subscriptions every month. Like even just upgrading to Plus memberships on certain apps like Visco. I found that when I was looking at it, it was just ridiculous. I can post to Instagram by myself. Even if an app only costs about $4 a month, that can, if you have 3 of those, then that can add up to like $200 a year. So yeah, and really for what? For not much. So yeah, go through your phone and see what you really need.
We cut our own hair, so
we somehow can't get through this point without laughing, but it's actually true. We do cut our own hair, and if you guys are like, oh, we can tell, yeah,
it's not that weird.
I don't think it's that weird. So okay, here's the thing. We actually we cut and color our own hair.
Yeah. Well, you cut my hair, and then you let me cut your hair.
Yeah. Us being low maintenance about our hair has really helped save a lot of money, especially like getting your hair colored can be super, super expensive. So yeah, we just avoid the hairdressers completely. And see, it shouldn't be that funny.
We cut our own hair.
We do, we cut our own hair.
Number 6 is selling things that we don't need. As I'm sure you know if you've watched our videos, we try to live as minimally as we comfortably can. And in the past 3 years, we moved like every 6 months or so. So that basically means that we have to go through all of our stuff as we're packing it, and we can kind of figure out what we don't need or what we'd like to hold on to, and it's made it a lot easier for us to kind of go through things that way. Even if that's not the case for you, we still definitely suggest doing like a good declutter every once in a while, like 6 months to a year, just to kind of get rid of things that you actually don't need. You'd be surprised at how many of those little items you can sell and how much you can make back on them, because they do add up. If you just put them all on Facebook Marketplace, there's $100 or $50 or whatever.
And it's easy, and it declutters your place, and it's kind of like all-in-one kind of situation. Now, other than selling the things that you already have, we should talk about the things that you are buying. So we make a conscious effort to not rush to buy anything. We pretty much live by the 30-day rule, although we don't wait exactly 30 days. If you don't know what the 30-day rule is, if you want to buy something, then to wait for 30 days, and if you still want it at the end of the 30 days, then you can purchase it. This is a rule that a lot of people live by. And like I said, we don't exactly go by that, but we do try to think about what we want to buy. Even if we're shopping online, we'll just put it in the shopping cart, wait for a little bit, and then see if we want to actually spend the money on it like a couple days later. We really try to take the thrill out of buying things and impulsively buying things. Don't rush to buy anything, and try to take like the fun part out of buying and just buy things that you really, really need.
Number 8, cutting out coffee expenses. So this might not apply to everyone, but it definitely applies to us. We actively try to not buy coffee when we go out, or at least try to have a coffee before we leave the house. If we each bought a $2 coffee, as we used to do, that would equate to $730 a year, which is like a plane ticket somewhere or a rent that month. So it's just best to try not to go out and spend money. We sometimes still do, but at least try not to do it every single day.
Yeah, we definitely slip up on coffee, and I think that's why we keep it separate, because we actually find it easier to not dine out. Once you get into the habit of cooking, that's one thing, but then to break the coffee habit and buy a coffee out every day, that's a whole different ballgame. So the next one might be another kind of lifestyle change for some people, but to kind of take up free hobbies, or if as much as you can, change the hobbies that you already have. And replace them with free ones. We're pretty lucky to already have free hobbies, because I like to take pictures and to write, and Nick likes to skateboard. So although, say, getting a skateboard or buying a camera are initial investments, they don't cost money to do down the line. So if you love doing a certain type of exercise, like going to a climbing gym or something that costs a lot of money, maybe it would be cheaper to do that hobby outside. So I don't know what your hobbies are, but some of us have pretty expensive ones. So as much as you can, try to take up things that you can do outside, or something that you just have to make that initial investment, and then that hobby can last a lifetime instead. We actually move a lot, which is not one of our cheap things that we do, but whenever we're in a new city, we're always trying to find the free stuff to do in that city. So I can almost promise you that there's free things to do around you. You just have to find them.
Tip number 10 is to find somebody to hold you accountable. We're fortunate enough to have each other to hold one another accountable. We write our goals down and we work towards them together. If you don't have a partner to hold you accountable, chances are you probably do have a friend or even a family member that also wants to save for something. So even if you can try and team up with them and to just have each other's backs.
Ever since we started like making videos on kind of like saving money and budgeting and all of that, we've had a lot of people reach out to us and say, hey, like, I'm trying to do this at home too, and people that you would have never thought of before. So a lot of people don't like talking about their finances. You don't have to tell your friends how much money you have if you don't want to. But yeah, even just like to get into that kind of habit of having someone that you're like, oh yeah, I saved this much this month, and someone that's going to be able to check in on you. I think that having each other really has been the biggest thing that's helped us both stay on track, because I personally feel like if I mess up, then like I'm letting you down. So it really helps us save money for things that we actually want to do, because we have each other.
We hope that this video has helped you realize that saving money can be done fairly easily, and that it doesn't have to be something that's boring and restrictive.
These lifestyle habits come pretty naturally to us because we're always thinking, like, we always have a goal that we want to reach, and then we kind of just like keep our eye on the prize and stay focused on what we want to do next. None of this is to say that we don't spend any money. We certainly spend a lot of money because we have the most expensive hobby of all, which is travel. But we're happy to sacrifice little things that we do in our daily lives so that we're able to meet those goals. Anyways, that's it for today's video, so good luck and happy saving.